Wanting to expand the diversity of books I read to include titles from across the diaspora, I was looking for more books that take place in and/or were written by authors from Africa, the Caribbean, and Europe. I get a lot of my book recommendations from Goodreads and Amazon and take full advantage of their You Might Also Like features. After checking out a few titles, Under the Udala Trees by Chinelo Okparanta was recommended. Please bear with me. I'm probably going to butcher some of these names, and I apologize in advance. Full disclosure, based on the descriptions, I thought the book seemed interesting, but had second thoughts about reading it. I was drawn in by the book's description of taking place during and after the Biafra War in Nigeria, but I was apprehensive when I realized that the book is also about the life and experiences of a young woman coming of age during this time as a lesbian. My initial thought was that I wasn't very interested in reading about a lesbian relationship, and so I had to ask myself why. I'm not really a romance novel person, and that could have been part of it, but it could have also been that I was put off by the thought of reading about lesbians. I mean, I don't really know. I watch movies and TV shows that feature lesbian relationships with no issues, so I don't know. I couldn't identify any real reason for being put off by the topic, so I decided that I was being ridiculous and went ahead and read the book anyway, and I'm glad that I did. This is the first book that I've read by Okparanta, and I found that I really enjoy her writing style. Her descriptions are detailed without being overboard and allowed me to visualize the scenes and people she was describing. Some of the characters in the book aren't as well developed as I usually like, but they serve their purpose for getting the author's point across. Under the Udala Trees starts off during the Biafra conflict in Nigeria in the late 1960s. Ijeoma is a middle-class girl living with her mother and father while trying to survive air raids and food shortages. Unable to cope with the circumstances of the war and what it means for their lives, Ijeoma's father gives up on life. The loss of her father greatly affects Ijeoma and her mother, Adeora. Adeora doesn't give up, but finds it difficult to simultaneously cope with her grief and also care for Ijeoma. Needing a break, Adeora sends Ijeoma off to live in another village with a school teacher and his wife. Their names are never given, but they're friends of the family. Given the war, there are food shortages and local schools in Ijeoma's village are closed. In exchange for going back to school in the future and staying with the school teacher and his wife, Ijeoma earns her keep as a house girl, running errands and performing chores. Before leaving home, Adeora is visited by the parents of a neighborhood boy, Chibundu. Ijeoma has known Chibundu for years, and he tries to express himself and his feelings in these last moments of what might be their last time seeing each other. Hoping for a moment of youthful passion, Chibundu leans in for a kiss and is momentarily left hanging by Ijeoma, who's somewhat caught off guard. She has no interest in Chibundu, but kisses him because she knows it's like what's expected of her in this moment. The interaction, while they're still adolescents, foreshadows aspects of their future adult relationship. Ijeoma having no romantic interest in Chibundu, Chibundu being deeply attracted to Ijeoma and dreaming of a happy life with her, but misconstruing her lack of interest as being shy and inexperienced. Ijeoma feeling obligated to do what's expected of her and giving Chibundu what he wants, regardless of if it aligns with her needs. One could argue that if he were older, Chibundu might have been more perceptive and realized that he should cut his losses and focus his attention on another woman. I picked up the book because I thought it would be about the history of the Biafra War as told through the lives of these fictional characters. And based on what I got from the book, the predominantly Igbo Christian region in the east seceded from the rest of the country, which was ruled by the Hausa Fulani Muslims, and became Biafra. But to be quite honest, I don't think I learned much more about the war, aside from that it happened. The war proved to be a backdrop, really just a catalyst for bringing the characters together and moving them apart. As explained in the epilogue, Okparanta's goal is to give voice to Nigeria's LGBT community, which is commendable, but the book also provides broader commentary via the major theme of identity and how it's shaped by cultural norms and expectations. Ijeoma spends about 1 year living with the school teacher and his wife, during which time she meets another girl of about the same age, Amina, who also comes to live at the school teacher's home. Like Ijeoma, Amina has also experienced loss and separation from her family due to the war, but Ijeoma is a Christian Igbo girl, while Amina comes from a Muslim Hausa family. I thought it was a little bit weird that Ijeoma, as a rather young girl at this point, was made to live in what seemed to be a shed out in the yard by herself, rather than actually within the house. When Amina comes to live at the school teacher's home, she shares the shed with Ijeoma, and it seemed a little bit cold to me because these are rather young girls who are away from their families during hard times. They're not really being offered any any real kind of comfort or hospitality. I mean, to be clear, the school teacher and his wife aren't mean or abusive towards them, but there's a very clear line drawn in their relationship. Being without real parental supervision and quite possibly feeling lonely, and in Ijeoma's case abandoned, the two girls find solace in each other. When they're seen in the midst of an intimate moment, Ediora is called to retrieve Ijeoma and take her away. As the book progresses, we hear of instances where people discovered in homosexual relationships are assaulted and in some cases murdered. Because of Ijeoma's and Amina's age, their activities are not revealed to the community, and they're allowed to move on with their lives, but with warnings and conditions. When Ediora comes to finally understand what exactly took place between Ijeoma and Amina, she's caught off guard. Believing that her daughter is a good person, she thinks the explanation for Ijeoma's homosexuality is that she's possessed by an evil spirit. As a result, Ediora believes it's her duty to help Ijeoma rid herself of the spirit through an exorcism of sorts in the form of long sessions of daily Bible study. I don't want to give too much away, but the book goes on from there and is definitely worth reading. But we'll stop here to dive more deeply into the themes of the book, which really become evident at this point. Over the course of the book, there's a trend for people to come into Ijeoma's life, have an impact, leave, and then later return. Excluding her father, this happens with the four characters that have the most impact on her life. Her mother, Ediora, Amina, her childhood love, Ndidi, her adult love, and Chibundu, her only male love interest. As I mentioned earlier, Ediora is consumed with grief when Ijeoma's father dies. She moves through different phases of denial, anger, depression, etc. And in the midst of this, she neglects not only herself, but also Ijeoma. It hurts Ijeoma deeply when her mother sent her away, but in its own way, it's also an act of kindness and sacrifice for Ediora to realize that she's not capable of being the parental figure that Ijeoma needed at that time, or that she thought she needed at that time. We come to understand through her conversations with Ijeoma that Ediora places great value on marriage, being a wife, and being a mother. Ediora lost a large part of her identity and sense of being through the death of her husband. Finding herself incapable of caring for Ijeoma for a period of time, she overcompensates by going all out in her efforts to get Ijeoma back on what she sees as the right path to womanhood. During the time that Ediora is separated from Ijeoma, she journeys back to her family home and with the help of the community gets the house back in order. She also starts a small business in the form of a local shop at which people can buy drinks, snacks, and other tidbits. She doesn't seem to really have any friends or close relationships beyond the one she's built with Ijeoma. Ediora never dates and doesn't remarry, but through her small business, she's able to remain independent and manages to change her identity, though it didn't occur by choice. When Ijeoma meets Amina around the age of 11 or 12, she's at about the age when puberty begins for most girls. We don't get much insight into Amina as she doesn't speak much, so I thought she was actually a pretty boring character. But Ijeoma's relationship and experiences with Amina occur around the time at which she would be beginning to try to figure out her identity and who she wants to be. Unlike Ediora, Amina doesn't place any pressures on Ijeoma to fit any kind of prefabricated mold. Instead, Ijeoma is just allowed to be, and there's a lot of comfort in that kind of freedom in a relationship. The opportunity to just be yourself can be very attractive. And through that understanding, I came to see what Ijeoma saw in Amina and why the loss of that relationship was so devastating. Unlike Ediora, Amina doesn't place any pressure on Ijeoma to fit any kind of prefabricated mold. Instead, Ijeoma is just allowed to be, and there's a lot of comfort in that kind of freedom in a relationship. The opportunity to just be yourself can be very attractive. And through that understanding, I came to see what Ijeoma saw in Amina and why the loss of the relationship was so devastating. Ijeoma develops into a beautiful young woman who's noticed by the local men, but her life is dry and boring and seems to revolve around pining over the loss of Amina, Bible study sessions with Ediora, and questioning God about homosexuality. Around this time, Ijeoma meets another young woman, Ndidi, a local school teacher, and there's an immediate spark of interest between the two women. Ndidi felt a little more detailed and fleshed out than Amina, though this might have just been a matter of her being an adult. Ndidi helps to guide Ijeoma rather than the two being in roughly the same place in life trying to figure things out. Like Amina, Ndidi also allows Ijeoma to be herself and feel comfortable about his sexuality. She introduces Ijeoma to the adult social aspects of being homosexuals within their community. And out of Ijeoma's 3 love interests, Ndidi was my favorite. She had a life and personality of her own, seemed equally into Ijeoma, and looked out for Ijeoma's best interests, even in instances where it would result in her own unhappiness. I didn't think much of Chibundu when he was a kid, but initially liked him as an adult. It's obvious that he's attracted to Ijeoma and wants to do what he thinks will result in a happy life for them. The problem is that he sees what he wants to see in Ijeoma and tries to ignore anything to the contrary when possible. When the two see each other again as adults, it seems like their courtship is just another task to be checked off, but there's no real effort to get to know Ijeoma as a person. It's not as openly discussed as the expectations for Ijeoma as a woman, but there are also cultural expectations placed on Chibundu. As a result, he has a vision of their future life and family in which Ijeoma's participation is incredibly important. These are Chibundu's dreams, which he shares with Ijeoma, but he never seems to ask her about her dreams and visions for their marriage. Instead, he operates under the assumption that his dreams are also the key to her happiness. They both become increasingly unhappy, and they try to achieve what their family expects of them, which is at odds with what they want for themselves. Chibundu is expected to provide for his family and produce children, especially sons. Things don't go according to plan on their wedding night, and he tries to comfort Ijeoma by telling her that he won't use force, but will instead be patient. I didn't really pick up on this at first and thought it was kind of sweet that Chibundu was trying to be patient and understanding, but as the story progresses, Chibundu becomes disappointed with his job, their home, and his relationship with Ijeoma. It becomes clear that beneath the facade, there's a lot of repressed anger and frustration within Chibundu, and it doesn't all stem from Ijeoma. Because of the expectations that Chibundu's family and their community have for him in his marriage, he places some responsibility for those expectations on Ijeoma. Like Ijeoma, Chibundu's identity is based on him being a father and husband, so it's extremely important that things work out with Ijeoma. It's not enough that they have children, but Chibundu wants a son to carry on his family's name. How much did Chibundu really know Ijeoma? And did he really love her as a person, or did he love the idea of being married to a beautiful woman who would bear him children? Ijeoma never seemed into Chibundu or the relationship, but allowed herself to be moved along without ever speaking up. It was decided for Ijeoma that she should date Chibundu, be excited about marrying him, and be proud to become a mother. To be fair, Ijeoma seems withdrawn and lives within herself. The people around her see themselves as doing her a favor by pushing her along. She's apprehensive and makes weak protests along the way, which the people around her regard as mere uncertainty and nervousness. On the rare occasions that she does bite up the nerve to try to express her own desires and feelings, her mother or Chibundu butt in and downplay her feelings. I found this back and forth to be a bit frustrating and couldn't understand why Ijeoma didn't just leave, but it's important to consider that Ijeoma is growing up in a different time and place. She finishes school roughly at about the equivalent of high school. There's no real plan in place for Ijeoma past school, as the expectation is that she'll become a wife and mother as soon as possible. Deep down inside, she knows that being married to Chibundu is not the life for her, but she feels stuck. What else can she do with her life, and how will she support herself if she's not a wife and mother? And it can be dangerous for her to attempt to live out in the open as a lesbian. There's a lot to unpack here about identity and acceptance. Amina and Ndidi are great lovers in Ijeoma's life because while together they see her for who she is and allow her to be who she wants to be. Adeora sees Ijeoma for who she is, but thinks this is wrong and does everything she can to make Ijeoma into who she thinks she can be. Chibundu sees what he wants and tries to coerce Ijeoma into fit in the mold of what he dreams she could be. Religion plays a key factor in the book, at least with regards to Ijeoma's relationship with her mother. Ijeoma is also conflicted about her feelings and attempts to seek solace in church and finds none there. Ijeoma is used as a tool to give voice to the author's arguments about religion being weaponized against homosexuality and dividing rather than bringing people together. Some of the questions that were asked were really thought-provoking. People can be fairly rigid when it comes to topics such as religion, sexual orientation, and identity, but this can be a good book for young adults who are trying to navigate their sexual orientation or even just figuring out who they want to be and what they want out of life. It can also be a great book for parents who are trying to come to terms with their children becoming individuals and learning to love and accept them unconditionally. Thanks again for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please click the thumbs up button and share it online. I hope you'll also subscribe and return for future episodes to get motivated, get inspired, and get stories of Black history made and in the making. Until next time, take care. For more information about Noir Histoire, visit noirhistoire.com. A link is available in the episode description. There you'll find detailed text, video, and audio for each episode all in one place. While you're there, subscribe to the Noir Histoire newsletter to get fresh content delivered straight to your email inbox. You can also shop for Noir Histoire merchandise and accessories. If you're enjoying the content but would like the option of listening to audio only, you can subscribe to the Noir Histoire podcast via iTunes, Apple Music, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow Noir Histoire and join the conversation on Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.